The king had an insatiable desire for collecting crowns. To satisfy this craving, he began stealing crowns through despicable means. One day the king went to the Mouse Kingdom. Just as the Mouse King was about to greet him, the king ruthlessly tore open the Mouse King's skull. Then he placed the Mouse King's crown on his own head. After the Mouse King's death, his subjects became homeless, so they began wandering everywhere, seeking refuge. When the king saw the fleeing mouse subjects beneath the city walls, he grabbed a mousetrap baited with cheese, intent on exterminating them all. Day and night alternated. The Goat King sat atop the mountain peak, looking down upon all living beings. When he raised his head to graze, his crown fell onto a cloud. Gray rain began pouring down, landing right on a large pumpkin. The pumpkin became the Pumpkin King, but just as he awakened, he was caught by the king. The king seized his green crown. Soon the pumpkin crown withered away. A Fly King emerged from within it. The king also ruthlessly killed the Fly King, wearing that tiny crown as a ring on his hand. Meanwhile, the Snake King had just awakened from his sleep. The king quickly finished him off with a knife. Under the king's burning raids and pillaging, the number of refugees beneath the castle continued to grow, but the king was still not satisfied. The king then went to the sea, and directly stole the Fish King's crown. He even set his sights on the mountain god. He transformed his castle into a war machine to attack the mountain god, but his attacks had no effect on the mountain god whatsoever, so he jumped into the mountain god's crown. The crown world was filled with blooming flowers everywhere. The intense floral fragrance made him hallucinate. He mistook the ring on his hand for someone else's, so he raised his knife and chopped off his own finger. Due to excessive blood loss, the king died within the crown. Later he arrived in a room full of kings. These were all the kings he had once killed for their crowns. Death pointed to a chair for him, but now the king had his eyes set on Death's crown. He climbed onto the table, attempting to steal Death's crown, but Death simply made a gesture and sent him back to his place. The king launched attack after attack. Death gradually lost his patience and threw the king back onto the chair. When the king realized he couldn't defeat Death, he made himself a crown out of a handkerchief, but this crown was seized by Death. The king screamed frantically. Death couldn't stand it anymore. Reluctantly, he gave him his crown. The king hastily fled the room wearing the crown, then jumped into the endless void. There, he will be with the crown forever.